Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for joining us to close out your week. I'm Asia Gore. The House of Representatives passed a short-term spending bill Thursday that keeps the government open through mid-February. Now it's the Senate's turn to act. CBS's Weijia Zhang, though, explains why many say the bill won't get passed in time.
The Senate is debating a bill that would keep the government running for at least 3 weeks, but there seems to be little hope it will pass.
This vote should be a no-brainer. And it would be, except the Democratic leader has convinced his members to filibuster any funding bill that doesn't include legislation they are demanding for people who came into the United States illegally.
The holdup is what to do with DACA, the program that allows undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children to live and work here. Democrats say this is the only chance to protect the so-called dreamers.
Any bill that gets a majority of Democrats will not get a majority of the Republican side in the House and will not be put on the floor. So this is the way to go.
With senators doing more finger pointing than negotiating, the federal government is making preparations in case there is a shutdown.
A shutdown means all non-essential government employees would be put on unpaid leave. That means national parks and museums would close. Unemployment benefits and other government assistance may be delayed. Essential services such as the TSA, FBI, Border Patrol, and the military would continue. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid benefits will not be impacted. Weijia Zhang, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Republicans need a yes vote from at least 10 Democratic senators to pass the short-term bill. The Billings man who admitted he helped his relative mutilate a murder victim's body to help destroy evidence will spend the next 20 years in prison. Patrick Stansoverbull sentenced just this past hour in Yellowstone County District Court. Stansoverbull admitted he helped destroy the body of Jeffrey Hewitt after he was killed in 2015. Prosecutors say Hewitt was beaten to the point of incapacitation and left to die at the Ponderosa Apartments in Billings. After his death, Hewitt was decapitated and his limbs removed. The victim's body was burned and scattered in Pryor. Carrie Stansoverbull is serving a 40-year prison sentence for negligent homicide. The deadly shooting in Arlee is now under investigation as a possible act of self-defense. 49-year-old Leonard Peak Jr. of Arlee was found dead Wednesday afternoon. The Lake County Sheriff says Peak died from a single gunshot wound. The name of the alleged shooter has not been released, but authorities say that man is Peak's neighbor. Authorities took the suspected shooter into custody Wednesday, but that man was released. The sheriff says the community is safe. No charges have been filed. The man who killed his wife by hitting her with his truck on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation last year will spend time behind bars. 61-year-old Thomas Mancha was sentenced Thursday in U.S. District Court in Great Falls to 20 years in federal prison. Mancha pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for the death of his wife, Charlene. Prosecutors say Mancha killed his wife in January of 2017 when he learned she was planning a divorce due to his abusive behavior. The couple was at a monument along U.S. Highway 2 when Mancha got into his truck and ran his wife over as she tried to flee. Mancha must also be under supervision for 5 years after he's released from prison. The Billings area man who was sentenced to prison for the 2016 murder of a Glasgow woman now admits he kidnapped a jail guard during an attempted escape. Jay Witkowski pleaded guilty earlier this week in Valley County District Court to 1 count of kidnapping. Prosecutors plan to recommend a 40-year prison sentence to run consecutive to the 80-year sentence Witkowski received for the murder of Evelyn Garcia. Witkowski admitted that he and another inmate overpowered a female detention officer and stole her keys this past August, but the two men could not escape from the secure area and were detained. A sentencing date has yet to be set. A trio of 18-year-old suspects are now in custody for allegedly robbing the Subway restaurant in Helena and shutting the employee in the freezer. Anthony Hudson, a former Subway employee, Samuel Kelly, and another man appeared in Lewis and Clark County Justice Court on charges of robbery and kidnapping. The 3 men allegedly entered the sandwich shop, demanded money, and assaulted the clerk. The employee was bound and put in the freezer. The 3 suspects reportedly made off with $700. Police say the employee suffered non-life-threatening injuries. 2 victims of a pair of unrelated crashes in Billings have died. The Yellowstone County coroner tells us today 53-year-old Terry Dubbs died Tuesday, 11 days after he was struck by a van. Dubbs was wearing dark clothes when he crossed a Central Avenue street after dark and was hit by a minivan. Dubbs was a Billings resident. And the coroner said 75-year-old Peggy Clark died Thursday, 10 days after she was involved in a two-vehicle crash. It happened at the intersection of Bench Boulevard and Wicks Lane. Clark was a Shepherd resident. It's unclear if charges will be filed in either case. Switching gears, some of the 52 bison that escaped from a special holding facility near Gardner earlier this week have been located. Yellowstone Park officials plan to monitor the movements of those bison and say they will attempt to capture any of them if they return to the Stevens Creek area. In the meantime, the park has opened a criminal investigation into the incident. Investigators believe the bison were intentionally released from their pens, damaging those pens in the process. Anyone with information about this incident is encouraged to call the Yellowstone National Park tip line or email the park. Turning now to the weather scene with Ed McIntosh. It's a little bit icy this morning.
Yes, we had areas of freezing rain and ice across a broad area to start today, Asia. Now things have eased up a little bit. Take a look at the Doppler. As you can see, some of the showers still lingering through southern Montana and northern Wyoming, and a lot of them were causing areas where we saw ice and then rain over the top of it, or some of the melting going on. We also got reports of snow, especially from some of the mountain foothills around south central Montana, from around 1 to 6 inches in this area just to the west of the Billings area. We still have some advisories and warnings into effect, although most of it now is moving into extreme southern Montana and Wyoming. We'll show you how the weekend forecast is shaping up across Montana and northern Wyoming in just a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Ed. We'll check back in. A new incinerator in Butte will be used to help law enforcement burn up Montana's drug problem. A ceremony was held at the Montana Highway Patrol office in the mining city to christen the new incinerator. Prescription drugs turned into police as well as seized illegal drugs will be dumped into the incinerator. All three of these new devices, located in Butte, Great Falls, and Billings, are expected to help the state save money in the fight against drug abuse. The state purchased 3 of these devices through a $6 million settlement reached in 2014 against a major pharmaceutical company. New permanent rules on Montana's medical marijuana industry should be public by the end of the month. The Department of Public Health and Human Services shared the new regulations to an interim legislative committee on Thursday. Those changes include less strict testing requirements and reduced license costs for smaller providers. A law passed last year requires DPHHS to have detailed regulations for medical marijuana in place by April. The department plans to launch a seed-to-sale tracking system for all marijuana produced in the state by mid-March. The size of Montana's expanded Medicaid program continues to grow, and state officials say it's also helping people find employment. At a legislative committee meeting in Helena, state health officials announced Medicaid expansion is now covering 91,500 low-income Montanans. That's 9% of the state's entire population. It's also more than twice the number of people the Bullock administration estimated would be covered at this point in the program. Expanded Medicaid provides health coverage to low-income adults, with federal funds covering most of the cost. State labor employees also mentioned they've contacted 21,000 people in the program to offer job assistance training. A new travel report shows Missoula International Airport saw a record number of visitors in 2017. Over 770,000 passengers traveled through the airport last year. That's up 14,000 flyers from 2016. Airport administrators say competitive fares were a factor in the increased travel. They're considering a year-round service to Los Angeles and San Francisco that would create even more traffic this coming year. Straight ahead on the noon news, disturbing new details in the case against the California parents accused of shackling their children. We'll explain. But first, Ed has our weather forecast. Stay with us.
You're watching MTN News with Asia Gore, Storm Tracker weather with Ed McIntosh, and farm and ranch news from the Northern Ag Network. This is the